Hi, my name is Stefan Schmidt. I'm one of the authors of the textbook American Government and Politics Today. And I wanted to take a couple of minutes and talk about Chapter 1. There are lots of things in Chapter 1, but I just wanted to maybe mention to you two things. One is the United States as a country is committed to certain things that we call fundamental values. And we've got liberty versus order as a very important thing. Should people be free to do their own thing, or should the emphasis be on law and order and discipline? That is a very important distinction, and we always are trying to balance those two, because in fact in the United States we want as much freedom as possible, but we also prize stability and order because it's an important condition for people to be able to live good lives. The second thing that we talk about in here is equality versus liberty, and that's been a debate for a long time. Equality really means that government probably is going to try and level out the society and make it so that everybody has more or less the same. And there are countries that subscribe to that philosophy. I mean, in Cuba, for example, still today, the government policy has generally been to try and prevent social and economic inequality, and to put a great emphasis on redistribution and making everybody kind of equal. On the other hand, in the United States, we also prize liberty, and liberty includes economic liberty and other values, so that we think that if someone has a great idea, works very hard, starts a business, invests wisely, they ought to be able to do well and enjoy the fruits of that. We also believe that in terms of liberty, people ought to be able to express themselves, and that we ought to have as much diversity in the society in terms of freedom to do things as is possible, and still maintain, a stable and organized society. And then another fundamental value that we talk about as the kind of third one in our book is the distinction between big government and small government or no government. No one really argues for no government. There are very few anarchists in the United States. But there is always a debate as to how big government should be, especially the federal government, which is what this book is about. And so we're talking about cutting government spending, cutting the size of government, versus having the government, in fact, over time, grow in areas that become important for the national interest, whether it's growth on the military side, whether it's a growth in research science, in disaster relief, in constructing infrastructure. But there is always this tension between people who say we ought to give government more responsibility and more resources and have government be a very active, robust player, and those who argue that government is just trouble and we should keep it as small as possible and let the private sector and individuals essentially do their thing. Let me talk to you about another part of Chapter 1 that I like very much, and I think what it does is it sets us up for the entire discussion for the rest of the book and the rest of the semester, and that is the changing face of America. That's the last section here in the book. And basically what we're pointing out is that politics and government depends a lot on demographic factors. For example, how old is the population? Is it an older or younger population? If it's an older population, you've got certain responsibilities in terms of retirement, pensions, healthcare, and so on. If it's a younger population, you have another responsibility, which is to educate, bring that population into the workforce, create jobs for them. And so depending on the demographics, the challenges to policymakers vary and are different. And so that's something important to remember. Ethnic change. I mean, the United States has always been a multicultural society, and it's undergoing a tremendous change in the composition of its population. You have much fewer European ancestor people. You have a very big rise of Latinos and Hispanics. In other words, the people whose ancestry was Spanish-speaking or from Mexico or Central America or South America is now the largest minority in the United States. African Americans have become a smaller minority. There's a big surge of Asian immigration and of Asian Americans, and those all contribute to a mix in the society that often is reflected in, for example, their view of life, their view of God and right and wrong, and their traditions and so on, that all become part of the mosaic of government and politics as well. And in the case of the United States, in right now in the first part of the 21st century, we do have an aging population. The baby boomers, which is over 70 million people who are getting into their 60s now, that piece of the population has certain demands, they have certain interests, and for that reason, for example, our healthcare system now is under a great deal of pressure, because as you get older, you begin to develop more needs for healthcare and for for medical support. And so those kinds of challenges you will see in other chapters are big policy issues that put candidates as well as put the government to the test in terms of how American government will respond to that. And then there are other things that are constantly lurking on the horizon. For example, energy. What's the price of oil on the world market? The price of oil and the price of energy flows into all the other aspects of American society. If energy, petroleum and gas prices are low, then certain things are possible. If they rise, then you have to change your lifestyle, how much you drive, how you heat and cool, and your manufacturing processes. And it even affects, of course, the military. The military is a huge consumer of oil and kerosene and so on for its airplanes. And so the cost of oil on the world market is a major external factor that affects American society, and that politicians, policymakers, and public opinion makers have to deal with. And you'll see energy, traditional energy as well as alternative energies, as a kind of a major discussion in both public opinion, in the media, in elections and campaigns. We hope you'll enjoy Chapter 1, because it sort of sets up the framework for a lot of the more detailed discussion in the rest of the book. Of course, we deal with the branches of government. You know that we have to make decisions. Government has to pass laws and implement them, and then the Supreme Court has to come in and referee those, and those are also parts of kind of the American system of government in comparison to other countries where those things are sometimes done a little bit differently. Enjoy the book, enjoy the course, and I hope to be talking to you sometime in the near future. Thanks.